So my guess is you could use a few more high-capacity volunteers. You know the kind of volunteer I'm talking about. They can attract other very capable leaders. They don't drop balls. They love a challenge. And the best part, they consistently overperform. You're not pushing them. I mean, who wouldn't want more of those volunteers on their team? And yet, in a lot of churches and a lot of nonprofits too, staff leaders are left wondering, like, where have all the high capacity people gone, right? And here's the paradox. They're probably still in your congregation. Some of them are attending. Some of them are helping to fund what you're doing, but far too many of them are not serving. And even if they do step up, they often check out. They're kind of like, oh, thanks so much. I'm going to move on. So the question is, why is that? This could be a little bit of a tough conversation, but I want you to know I've made every single one of these mistakes over the years and fixed it to see great results. So if your reaction to what I'm about to say is, oh no, just know if you make a few intentional changes, you're going to be in a far better place. So let's talk about 6 reasons why high capacity volunteers are leaving your teams or never joining in the first place. First reason, the challenge isn't big enough. Okay, now it's really quite simple, right? A lot of the time as church leaders, we want to get in front of people and say, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be that important. We're not going to ask much of you. No, people with significant leadership gifting respond best to significant challenges. If you under-challenge them, they won't stay engaged for long. And a lot of church and nonprofit leaders are worried about giving their volunteers too much responsibility. But guess what? That might be exactly why you don't have enough high capacity volunteers. They love a big challenge. Second reason, your mission, vision, and strategy are fuzzy. So people want to serve a bigger cause than themselves. And that's the beauty of the church, right? We're literally the biggest cause on the planet. But too often our mission, vision, and strategy are a little bit unclear. So here's a quick reminder. Mission's the what, vision is the why, strategy is the how. And even if you've got it written down somewhere, most people couldn't tell you what they actually are. And that's a tragedy because the motivation for high capacity volunteers is the vision. It is the why behind the what that gets them up in the morning. And when you help people discover the God who created them and their savior, well, that is the most rewarding work volunteers will do, probably better than their day job, right? So why would you ever hide that? Picture this for a second. Imagine showing up on a Sunday morning knowing volunteers are not only there on time, but they're leading with energy. And they're even there early, and you gather for a quick huddle, and instead of chasing down the late arrivals or filling in the gaps because you're short again, you're encouraged because your team is actually ready to go and they're motivated. Well, that's the kind of team every leader dreams of. And here's the good news. You don't have to guess how to get there. I've got something called the Top Tier Volunteer Blueprint. It is my on-demand workshop that gives you a clear path to recruiting, engaging, and keeping high-capacity volunteers who thrive in your church and advance the mission. So you can start building that culture at your church by checking out the link beneath this video. That'll get you started today. All right, third one, and this is hard for a lot of people to hear, you're disorganized. Few things are more demotivating than volunteering your time as a volunteer, somebody who's really busy, only to find out that the staff at the church didn't set you up to succeed. Some of the tools are missing. The rest of the team is late. You're not even sure maybe what your role is. And sure, you'll always find people willing to put up with the chaos, but your high capacity leaders, they will not. And high capacity people, they're going to make a beeline for the door. So you got to be organized. You got to deliver on time. All right. That leads us into number 4. You let people off the hook too easily. I hear this a lot, and I hear this almost universally. They're just volunteers. You can't really hold them accountable. Wrong. You absolutely can hold them accountable, and you should for everyone's sake. If a volunteer is late, it is no different than a staff member being late. You want to be kind, you want to be clear, but one of the most disheartening moments for a motivated volunteer is this. They show up early, they're prepared, others are late, and the staff person says, "It's okay, we're just glad you're here." Now, when you say that, the high capacity leader dies 1,000 deaths every time they hear that. And what happens? They quietly walk away. They're like, I don't think this is for me. Okay. The slackers end up staying, and the high capacity people, they leave. Number 5, you are not giving them enough personal attention. Now I get it. You don't want to play favorites, right? You want to treat everyone equally. And that sounds nice, but again, it's wrong. Yes, the church should always be loving, but some people require more of your time and attention. And your best volunteers should get your best attention. So unless you're intentional, here's what you're going to do. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to spend most of your time on your most problematic people and the least amount of time on your best leaders. So what do smart leaders do? They flip that. They cut ties with low performers, and they spend their energy developing their finest, their best leaders. And before you say that's unfair, just know Jesus did this, and your team will thank you. Okay. He had crowds. Think about this. We know this from the Bible, of like hundreds of disciples. Then he had 72. And then among the 72, he had a group of 12. And then within the 12, he had 3. And within the 3, he had 1. And who did he spend the most time with? The 1, the 3, and the 12. So you can do the same thing. Jesus did it. You can do it too. And number 6, you don't have enough other high capacity volunteers. So let's be honest, it's never fun to lead alone. So as soon as you find one high capacity volunteer, you know what your next job is? It is to recruit more and put great people around them. You want to nurture the team. You want to build into them. You want to take them out to lunch, and you want to bring them maybe with you when you travel. Do life with them. Again, guess who modeled this? Jesus. But if you don't do that, well, your best leaders are probably going to slip away. So you want to get like with like, and you want to get more high capacity people involved. And then you've got momentum starting. So if you're wondering where the high capacity volunteers went, maybe they didn't disappear. Maybe they just never found a culture worth staying for. The good news is you can change your culture fast. You can start today. Don't forget to check out the top tier volunteer blueprint, which is linked below this video. And then go and build teams that are clear, challenging, organized, and full of purpose. You'll be amazed and delighted at who shows up.